Hey guys, welcome back to RPO Restorations. So I've reached the halfway point in the revival of this 1993 K1500 Blazer. So I decided to do a quick walk around video for you and show you some of the features of the truck and also explain a little bit of its history and also show you what I've done so far. So stay tuned for the next couple minutes and I'll give you a quick walkthrough. So this Blazer is a 1993, which is essentially a carryover of the 92 model. The 92 model, as some of you may know, is the first model year of the GM T400 series chassis, or the 440 for the Blazer and the Yukon, that replaced the venerable K5 Blazer and Jimmy. Those trucks had a 19-year production run from 1972 up to 1991. The pickups actually changed over in '88, but General Motors continued to carry over the Blazer and Jimmy until the end of the 1991 model year. This iteration of the truck is really the first time GM designed a truck with a lot more creature comforts and style in mind. Prior to this, especially in some of the first generations of the K5, they were just work trucks or utility trucks. This one was kind of designed from the ground up to be a little more comfortable and a little bit more useful in urban and suburban settings, because by this point that's where GM was selling most of them. So there's definitely some improvements in comfort and style and things like that, and I'll walk you through some of those features momentarily. My 1993, even though it's all solid gunmetal gray, initially started life as a sport model, which came with two-tone paint. This particular one was painted quicksilver metallic over the gunmetal gray on the lower half. The sport package came with painted wheel flares, blacked out front grille, and black painted mirrors, a black painted front air dam, and cast aluminum wheels. It also came with gunmetal gray color keyed bumpers that were painted. There was supposed to be no chrome on the truck, with the exception of the shiny rims when you purchased the sport model. There were also decals placed on the side of the truck. These have since been removed by a previous owner, and the grille was actually changed out to an incorrect standard Cheyenne or Silverado grille at some point in time. Plan on changing that back once I get to the cosmetic parts. Now, when you bought a sport package Blazer, you also had to check off the preferred equipment group 1 on the order sheet. That included the Silverado trim, air conditioning, tilt steering wheel, and cruise control. This particular Blazer was also ordered with a roof rack and the trailer group, which added a weight distributing hitch underneath the bumper, as well as trailer wiring. Here's a quick shot of the cast aluminum wheels with 265/70 R16 tires, which I may or may not replace in the near future, but the center caps are kind of going on their way out, so they're going to have to get changed up. Let's head over, take a look at the engine. You can see some remnants of the quicksilver metallic back there by the firewall. But if you purchased one of these in 1993, you were left with one and only one engine choice. And that is the LO5 5.7 liter 350 cubic inch Chevrolet small block V8. These put out about 210 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. They had a 9-to-1 compression ratio. Were fed by a throttle body injection system. They were mated to a General Motors 4L60E transmission, which is the electronic version of the 700R4. You can see under the hood I've replaced a lot of the lines, the master cylinder, the ABS unit, a lot of the brake, actually all of the brake lines. I've done some other cleaning up here. Replaced the transmission cooler lines, as well as the power steering gear, or the steering gear, power steering lines, and oil cooler lines. Hey, why don't we head around and I'll show you the interior. Okay, there's that familiar 90s GM key buzzer. Okay, here you go. Interior's still a little dirty, but it's coming along. At some point in this truck's life, somebody actually decided to replace it with a red interior from a K5 Blazer. I don't know why, but a previous owner changed most of it back, so I'm thankful for that. Here is your instrument cluster. This truck actually only has a little over 65,000 miles on it, and it's 30 years old. Still has the odd GM tape radio setup with a cassette tape and graphic equalizer over here, and the actual radio unit over here. This is the second year for this gauge package, which I think is fairly easy to read. All the controls are pretty easy to get to, except for the tape deck, that is. And we also have our shift on the fly four-wheel drive system, similar to what you might find in a Jeep Wrangler today. Simply pull back on the lever to shift into 4 high. Up 1 notch will take you into neutral, and up 2 notches will take you into 4 low. It's attached to a 241C new process transfer case. You could also order one of these with a front bench seat, which is pretty unique. Obviously that would omit the center console, but this has it. Little junk inside, rear cup holders, and pretty nice storage even by today's standards. There's also a glove box located right up here. All right, I'll hit the hatch release and we can take a walk around to the back, and I'll show you the cargo area. Okay, before we do that, to give you a view of the hitch that you got with the trailering special package. Well, it's 373 gears underneath. And we'll go ahead and open the back up. And got a fairly generous cargo area with full-size spare tire in the back. The rear seat also folds down pretty easily, so you can almost double the amount of room you have back there. I believe these were also offered starting in '94 with the barn door style rear doors. If you didn't want the flip up lift gate, you could get 2 doors that open similar to a van. All right, so in the future, I plan on changing that grill back to its original blacked out style. I think that'll look a lot better. I was on the fence about painting it back to its original sport motif, but I honestly just don't think I have the budget for that right now. They actually did a pretty good job painting it all gunmetal gray and did most of the door jambs and things like that, with the exception of just that area on the firewall. So I think right now it would just be more trouble than it's actually worth. But we're going to do a nice paint correction, and I may actually add the black molding to this area here to just kind of complete the look a little bit more. All right, so I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my 1993 K1500 Blazer. Back when these SUVs were new, these kind of really helped usher in the SUV craze. I know, especially in the early 90s, in certain parts of the country. I know, especially where I live, you never ever saw these. It wasn't really until the late 90s that SUVs took off, with the exception of maybe the later Bronco 2s and the S10 Blazer, or small S15 GMC Jimmy. But other than that, especially in some of the major cities on the East Coast, you never ever saw full-size SUVs. So I think this model, along with the Suburbans, the Ford Explorers, and the Ford Expeditions, really kind of ushered it in and kind of set the tone for this modern, vehicle setup we have today, where you almost never see cars. So we can thank these for that, partially. But if you'd like to follow along with the 1993 K1500 Blazer revival, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Certainly would appreciate. Got more videos coming down the pipeline. And if you're into 80s and 90s cars and trucks, you also might want to subscribe as well, because we have plenty more content coming with those. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I'll see you on the next one.